All right, we are live. Josh, Emily, welcome to the show. How are you guys doing tonight?
Wonderful. Just got back from work.
And it's hot weather here, but crappies are spawning, so that's always a good thing for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, why don't you tell me a little bit about your business and what you guys do at Crappie Junction?
So Crappie Junction is kind of an evolving thing, but a way to kind of connect people to the fishing world. So that means a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. A lot of times it takes the form of like shows and expos and fishing events, because there really is so much going on in the fishing world. So whether that's a person or a product or a tournament, kind of bringing all that has to offer to anyone who can't be there. A lot of times Facebook, any of the social media methods that allow people to kind of interact back. We love answering questions. And again, just helping people to learn more about whatever they don't know in the fishing world.
Yeah, I mean, basically for us, it kind of sums up. We promote fishing. It's that simple.
Gotcha. Now you're promoting just crappie fishing, or are you guys, saltwater, freshwater, bass fishing?
Everything. Anything that has to do with putting up fish in a boat.
Gotcha.
Well, like a year ago, we actually got married, but we did go saltwater fishing.
Mhm.
And so, kind of documenting that process as somebody who is totally new to it. We watch fishing shows all the time, but you see all these professionals and they know what they're doing, and that's really great. But how about the average person? Like, what happens when you step on that boat? What did you need? What did we wish that we had? Or what went really well? Because all of that is such useful information to other people. So around here, it takes the form of freshwater angling because that's what we do. But lots of different opportunities there as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of times, our business is a lot more busy during the wintertime, and so we're bringing angling to people in the form of products and like owner interviews. And so like you yourself own digging anchors. And so if we met you at Expo, we would say, hey, we're going to go live on Facebook. Tell us about your product. Give us the whole spiel. And then we put it out on all of our platforms. We put it out there, and that's free to you. So we don't charge for that kind of stuff. That's our service to the angling community and to those smaller companies that don't have the marketing capacity, or maybe even just as simple as the skill to just use Facebook or Instagram.
Right, which is so important nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is really this podcast is really talking about how has COVID affected your business. So, do you guys have any employees, or is it just the two of you?
Oh, it's just the two of us.
Okay.
And our mascot dog.
Are you guys in your jobs? Are you guys considered essential? I mean, have you been working the whole time, or has this taken a toll on what you guys have been doing?
Well, kind of half. So I'm a natural resource professional. I specialize in water quality and fisheries. I was actually furloughed. I worked for a northern Wisconsin tribe, and they were gracious enough to pay me from the beginning of March till May 4th. And then I went on an unemployment for a couple weeks, and now I'm back at work. Emily's been holding down the fort at work with the other ladies for her day services.
So. I work with adults with disabilities and aging, and we also have a pre-vacation program, so people who might one day get into the job force. But because that is a population of people that is a little bit delicate, they have all been home. We do work with area manufacturers who are considered essential. So our woodworking department building pallets and all kinds of stuff like that. And, we have lots of other things going on in other departments. So our employees are ladies that are normally in human services and working with people are now still meeting the quotas of what we are teaching our clients to do. So kind of a very different skill set. It's been kind of a funny change. But certainly fishing is our relief to that.
So how is the craziness of the last 2 months where, the government came in and shut down the economy, how has that affected Crappie Junction? How has that affected your business?
Well, I guess in the short term, not not necessarily really that much, mostly because in the summertime, what we do actually slows down. There's not so many shows and expositions and stuff to go to as in our area.
But I think on the other hand, just kind of the whole situation of fishing in general, there's a lot that's going on with that for a few different reasons. So first of all, people are all at home and they are like media hungry right now. And so people are really searching out for everything that is out there, and especially for different YouTube channels, it's really interesting because instead of sitting down and watching a video or two, people tend to be watching whole subscriptions of people and events and situations that are happening. So I think especially for social media, it's hard to kind of keep up with demand. And that puts us in a unique position, because especially we are working. And so, gosh, when do you find the time to do that? But again, connecting people with others who are putting it out there, because you never know what's in somebody else's social media feed. And so to be able to pass it along and distribute that information kind of keeps things flowing. That's kind of another thing that I've noticed with COVID happening is that you see, and not everywhere is super widespread, but you've seen pictures of big box stores, the fishing department just wiped empty. And I think, again, that's brought people back to social media, and they'll go to their blog spot and they'll be like, what do I do? And then somebody else will be like, hey, connect with this small business. They work from home. They can still send you things. And I just think that reinforces that pushback to, supporting your community, supporting local and the families that need it.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, with our biggest retailer having their distribution centers closed, we saw a huge uptick in online orders.
Mm-hmm.
Just been going crazy with online orders, which is fantastic. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of that is because you're right. When people can't just run down to their local, store, then they're home and they're looking. They still want to buy stuff, so they're looking and they're buying online.
Yeah.
Well, and the additional thing that's funny about that to me is you really have the range of expertise that's going out there. So whether you're a seasoned pro who's looking for a specific fishing line or something, or you are a total newbie that has no idea what hook you're looking from one versus the other, it is really funny how everything has just been kind of taken up and everyone has kind of dove in.
Yeah. So that being said, have you guys shifted more to, online over the last 2 months? Because I know when we talked previously that you guys do a lot of shows, but I imagine the shows about probably been canceled like everything else.
Yeah. And, even in some cases, there's companies changing hands. There's kind of a lot going on in the fishing world. We do really look forward to expo season, but, making the most of what it is now. And I think, to be honest, it's a little bit of what I have personally struggled with is kind of connecting with people in new ways, like to be personally innovative enough to do it in the moment. It's so easy to look back and be like, oh, during COVID, I should have done this or that. But to identify those needs in the moment and to be able to act on it, I think is a huge thing here.
What new ways are you connecting with people?
Well, so moving forward, we've been trying, that's been one of the big questions on how do we still do similar content, but not be able to go and see stuff and talk with people like we normally do. So I see a lot more of this type of thing in the future where we would be talking with
together.
We would be talking with business owners like yourself. They can be pitching products. Obviously, in most cases, we won't be able to, physically handle products and stuff like we normally would be able to. But we still will be able to offer that opportunity for the business owners to kind of get their product out there, get their name out there, how to get in contact with them. All that same information, only more from like a virtual standpoint.
Well, and I think that there's some, pros and cons to every situation. And so if videos or interviews went, media like this, where you're together, even though you're apart, one of the limitations about shows is that you're not on ice or on a lake or in a place with fish. So it is really interesting, to create a space where people could, live do that in a real place.
Right. Yeah, I think pretty much everybody I've talked to feels that this format, doing videos, not only is it more efficient time-wise, but it's so much easier to be able to connect with somebody, and it's just as easy for them to ship you a product, so then you can do the demonstration.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we'll be lacking is a lot of the just the behind the scenes chit chat that we get to do with a lot of these business owners, because over the last 3-4 years we've really become friends with a lot of the people that we see, not only just like as far as businesses, but just friends in general, like people that we would never have thought, oh wow, we're gonna hang out with them and go have dinner with them or something, and some of that will be missed in the short term, but I think this is a good second.
Well, but I think that's actually a really good point, because especially in industries, I hate to use that term so generally, but I imagine it's more than just fishing. Being a part of that network is a really big thing. We talk all the time about, we like to be in the business of kind of opening doors and making connections, so to speak. So there's a lot of companies that will be like, oh, we're the best, or you have to go with us, or don't go with them, they're not great, or whatever that dialogue is. But I think what's right for one person is not right for everybody. And so, to be at a show and to have all the options there, and to be able to present that, as a networking opportunity, and as an opportunity in general, I just think what's good for one business is good for kind of the rest of the field.
And I guess as a supporting statement to that, we've also been a part of company to company interactions, and being at a show makes it a lot easier, because we're bouncing around to every single booth. Like we might hit booths multiple times. We definitely walk past them at dozens of times. And so if we can talk to somebody one-on-one and explain their product and give them exposure, and that's great, but we might not be able to get that same person the immediate effect, like, oh, hey, you should go over and talk to the Shields rep over here, because so and so is over there. He might be interested in bringing your product to the store, and we can do that at a show. But online, it's a little bit more difficult. The people with the product will have to do a little bit more legwork, I guess.
Have you ever considered doing a virtual meeting like this, but instead of like we're just doing, you and I, putting together 10, 15, 20 different people that represent different companies, that sort of thing, distributors? Have you ever thought about doing a virtual meeting like that?
I'm kind of laughing here, because being that we like to do what we do in social media, people ask us all the time and approach us all the time, when are you hosting an expo? Like, as if that was an easy thing to just like throw a birthday party. There's so much that goes into an expo, but a lot of that truly is the event space, the insurance, the whatever, the parking lots.
No, what I'm talking about is doing it virtually. Doing it like this.
Great idea, because some of those major barriers are kind of knocked off the table right away. And I'm laughing because, to be honest, I had not thought of it.
No, I mean that's it's something that I wondered if it was available. Like we were saying, we're just kind of we're just starting to get out of our show season from this last year. March was right at, we luckily hit every single show we needed to right before this happened. And so then that was really lucky, but we're still kind of winding down, getting some of our personal time and fishing in, and then now we've started to look into the future, and a lot of these platforms is what we're looking into, and for what making up for what we're doing this winter.
Because it sounds to me like you're doing a lot of networking. You understand the needs and wants of different people. You guys can be the connectors.
Yeah, and that's what we hope. That's what we're hoping.
That's the whole goal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, that being said, going forward, do you see your business changing at all? I mean, obviously, we just came up with a good idea of doing a virtual networking meeting for all your people in your network. But do you see it affecting your business in other ways?
I think social media is an ever evolving thing to begin with. And so I think the thing about it is always keeping up. And I mean, it is kind of tricky, but I guess it can be kind of fun, but that's our barriers keeping up.
Yeah, I mean, we just, as far as changing, I guess we're always changing and adapting. I mean, like we were talking with you before, we just stumbled into this. We are by no means like social media gurus or like networking experts. I have a science background. Most of the people that I work with, most of the public speaking they do is giving research project presentations. They're not like having qualitative conversations with people, like creative brainstorming things. This is all facts and figures. Emily's from like a healthcare background, like taking care of people, and so neither of us have any like marketing experience, social media stuff. We've been learning on the fly this whole time, and we just happen to have different skills that work really well with each other, and it's just been working awesome.
The nice thing is that anything you could ever possibly want to know is on YouTube.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the gurus that I follow, he's like, the day of the people charging for courses and all that stuff, it's almost over because everything you could possibly want to know is somewhere on the internet. You just got to look for it.
Right.
And YouTube's pretty, I mean, I'm one of those visual people where, I like to be like, okay, he's doing this, he's clicking that, he's doing this, he's clicking that, and watch somebody go through the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other people like to read it and have directions and stuff like that. But me, I want somebody to show me.
Yeah.
Well, and directions are great, but there's nothing better than somebody's personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't agree more.
And so that, that's one of bringing up YouTube. I guess that's one thing we are having a chance to work on now, because we're based out of Facebook. And so mostly because all of our videos are live. We don't really stage anything. We don't have a lot of equipment to stage stuff. We use our phones. We buy our phones specifically with good cameras for video and stuff, because that's how we do most of our stuff. There's not very much editing involved, and so moving forward, that might be, things we're going to have to look into as far as going back to the change question, getting more of the technology and the hardware to do more YouTube and stuff like that. One of the most effective things that I use is the earbuds. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Using those, it just makes the sound quality just so much better.
Yeah.
And it's not as obtrusive. I mean, I can't do that here on my computer, but if I was doing, something on my phone, or if I was doing it on my iPad or something like that, I'd have these plugged in.
Yeah. That's a good tip.
And it's just one of those things that, the sound is better, so people are going to pay more attention.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So that being said, do you have any thoughts in general for the fishing industry about, you've seen, you've got major retailers that are open, but their distribution centers haven't been open for 2.5 months. So the shelves are bare. Now, obviously that's going to change, but mm-hmm. Do you foresee this having a major impact on the fishing industry in general?
Well, that's a loaded question, because part of me wants to say I'm really excited for that, because I almost hope it forces, I mean, those are hard words, but I almost hope it forces some of the big box stores to stock with more local items. I don't mind a big box store so much if it's filled with kind of the stuff that's helping my local community. On the other hand, I really do feel for these larger companies, because that's where a lot of the innovation comes from. There's so much more money that's able to be pumped through some of these companies that, you're not just coming out with 1 jig a year. That's a big innovation for some people. You can instead have like a shack and this and that. And, when you're able to achieve more, I mean, that does help the whole fishing community, but I mean, hopefully, again, not at the expense of the little guy.
I think one thing the angling community has going for it is that it's a year-round endeavor, and no matter where you are. For us, it happens to be split into 2 seasons. For a lot of people, that's not the case. And I
Your 2
think,
seasons being freshwater water fishing and ice fishing.
yep,
Yeah.
ice, and open water and hard water is
Yeah.
what we like to call it.
See, here in Florida, we've got 2 seasons, hot and really hot.
So I think that because of that, and really all you need to go fishing is a piece of line and some kind of hook. It doesn't even necessarily need to be a hook at times. There's places in Europe that just use a piece of yarn, and the teeth of the fish get caught up in it. They don't even use a hook. And so it can be super simple and also super complex, and then everywhere in between. So as much as like the innovations and the really neat technological advances, I mean, like, we're super into all that stuff. You don't need a whole lot to go fishing. Like, unlike some portions of the hunting world where they only have a small time frame for a lot of the states to utilize that time, they might be hurt a little bit more because the traveling, the time of year. So you're going into flu season, starting hunting, the traveling associated with hunting, the fishing. It's great to travel. It gives you an excuse to travel. But a lot of people have great fishing, or at least able to catch stuff right in their backyard, so they don't have to travel very far. But hunting, that you might not have that opportunity, to own a bunch of land and stuff. And so I think the angling community is going to come out of it just fine. I think we're going to have some really cool stuff that the companies have had in their back pocket for a while. That's going to come out and try to stimulate people to come back out and buy stuff. But in the short term, like Emily said, I think online sales of local stuff and stuff made in people's basement like ours, I think that's going to be a big market going forward.
And to that point, like you said, people have spent the last 2.5 months and they haven't been able to really go outside their house, and you can only watch so much Netflix, and what they're doing is they're getting on and they're watching videos and stuff like that. And do you think that trend will continue, where people will spend more and more time watching videos where they can learn things, which is a big opportunity for content creators like you and I?
I think people will spend a lot more time watching videos if they can learn things, but I think that's one of the most important parts about it is, I think especially people who are quote unquote in the field often focus on like the big new innovative ways to do things, but I think especially right now it's most important to get out the most basic information, the step-by-step stuff, because like you're saying, people are seeking knowledge. Lead them along from step 1 to 2 to 3. You don't just jump in the middle. You'll never quite learn it right.
Well, and some of the best people that produce content, some people that have been around a long time, if you go back and you look at what they put out, they share a lot of basic things over and over and over again. Every year it's like the same content. But just because, like Emily and I, we follow a lot of these people. A lot of them are friends, so we see their stuff come across our news feeds or whatever, and it's like, man, they're really repetitive. But how many more followers or how many more likes have they gotten since the last time they shared that? And we need to remember that just because it's old content for us doesn't mean that there isn't like 100 more people out there that haven't seen that before. And just because somebody else has shared it doesn't mean that it's irrelevant for your content. As long as it's relevant to what you're doing and what you're producing, put it out there. Doesn't matter. Space is free right now, Just
Good point for right now. Yeah.
Yep.
But the thing about you're right. The thing about it is, it's always cool to have the new latest greatest thing, but we forget that there's new people coming into our sport every day, and they
Yeah.
got to start at the beginning.
Yep. And that's kind of where we hang out, in that realm between being brand new and the latest thing. We don't focus on either side. We just kind of float in between and just pick little bits and pieces here and share it out.
Well, and I think that's also the beauty of, I hate to say it, but the shows and the expos, because you come across the whole range of products, something for the experts, something that is cutting edge, but then, a bunch of different times you come across like a bobber or new hook or whatever, some of that really basic stuff often does show up. New minnow bucket.
Mhm.
But sometimes those are the things that people don't know about, or that is the tip or trick that they don't know that they're missing out.
Now, let me ask you a question, and this is really for you, Emily, because, if I look at, all of our clients, I'm going to tell you that 99% of our clients are men. But when I go to shows, and I found this in the beginning, like 80% of the questions I was getting were from women. I think women are a big part of fishing, but I don't think the marketing is really caught up with that yet.
No.
Okay. I don't know if this is a controversial thing to say. I think the women in the fishing world are like trying to be underground in some cases. Like, I think sometimes there's a certain kind or amount or type of attention, and it could be very positive. It could be a very nice thing, and social media can be a really great world. But I think that there's just some people who are really not seeking attention for being a fisherman. And I think that's a huge piece of why people don't, make videos themselves. Is, they're not here to show off. They're not here to get a comment or a like back. And I think that's the cool thing about fishing is you don't do it for other people, you do it for yourselves. And it's always been a guy's sport. You go out together and you compare your fish. And for women, I mean, we're having fun doing it, or maybe we're bringing home meals, but I think that's kind of what, and there's many women in the field. You can't generalize. There's some wonderful women that I know that are like super, super into social media, even more than us. And that's great. But I think a lot of that population is underground.
Mm-hmm.
So my question for you is, do you create content specifically for women?
There is a lot of other groups who are working on that. And I think that fishing is for people of all kinds and all ways. And you have a pole and you have a line and you have a hook, and somewhere in between that, there's a person and a fish. And I just don't personally feel a need to generalize by anything.
Okay. So you just make fishing content and you don't really target it anywhere.
I personally like to always remind myself to target the newbie. Because, you've got to start with that basic stuff for anybody to get it. Or here's the funny thing is sometimes my brain works different than somebody else's, and I didn't know I came up with something innovative. If I jump in halfway through, getting people to follow your thought process is a huge piece of that.
Well, we're coming up on the 30-minute mark, and I like to keep these interviews to 30 minutes. So do you guys have any final thoughts on the state of the fishing industry going forward in the short term and maybe even in the long term?
I think it'll be fine. I think it's been around since before this, and it'll be around after it. I think we'll see some new stuff, and the old stuff will persist, and we'll see some changes, and we'll all move on.
It'll be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, always. I can tell you, even during the shutdown here in Florida, there was tons of people still out on the water.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Here too.
the last question, which of course I ask everybody, is how can I help your business? What's the biggest challenge you guys have right now that maybe I can help you with? How can I add value to your business?
Well, I think in a strange way, just being here together is a big piece of that. The more people that know about us is the more that we can connect people with everybody else. And so, taking that spider web and just expanding it is kind of ultimately a goal. There's other social media platforms that we work through, but again, it's a big group effort and we can all do more together.
Yeah, and if you, I guess, just tell people what we're about, that we want to connect them with the public, and if they need some help, let us know. And then the more we can help people, the more it helps us.
So if there's somebody out there who's just learning how to fish, or they've got a product that they've invented but they don't know how to get into the marketplace, or maybe there's some large brands that might be able to take advantage of what you guys are doing, how would people get a hold of you?
Well, you can look us up on our Facebook. If you type Crappie Junction into Google, everything pops up.
Otherwise, our email, www.crappiejunction.com, or that's not our email, that's our website.
That's our website. Email is
crappiejunction@gmail.com.
Yep.
There we go.
Facebook's Crappie Junction, YouTube's Crappie Junction. Any of those platforms you can get a hold of us.
Okay, and your phone number's on those platforms?
Yes. Yep.
All right, fantastic. Well, I can tell you this has been a great interview, and I know you've given a lot of great information to our viewers. So thank you, Josh and Emily, so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, have a good one.